What is up, everybody? It's the Franz, and we're here for NXT review for May 15th, 2019. NXT going off the air about an hour or so ago. Of course, I'm getting to this a little bit late due to other reasons, but anyway. NXT tonight was the start of the match that are taking before NXT TakeOver 25. Beth Phoenix is now in the commentary booth. Percy Watson has stepped down. They even mentioned on commentary at the beginning of the show that he stepped down to go for other ventures, and I believe I talked about this on Unscripted last week, that Percy Watson's quit WWE because he wants to go into acting. More power to the guy, good luck with whatever he has to do. Beth Phoenix being on commentary, I'm going to say, is definitely better than Percy Watson for 110%. She brings a lot to the table. She actually sounds good. This is NXT, of course, where you actually have a chance to sound good and you're not being bogged down by Vince McMahon telling you what to say every so often. And we'll talk a lot about Vince McMahon on Saturday. But this was her first go, and it was a good show. She held her own. She sounded great. She sounds way better than Renee Young would ever do on her best day. This was definitely a good show. We had the VikingRaiders starting off the show, and yes, they came out as the VikingRaiders, which does suck. I do wish we could have had at least one last episode of them being, or one last time of them being the War Raiders, and be the War Raiders down in NXT. But because this was after the name change, they are the VikingRaiders. They come out to, and before this episode of NXT, we did have on, I believe, Monday or Tuesday, or Sunday, Triple H tweet out 2 matches for NXT TakeOver 25. Johnny Gargano will take on Adam Cole for the NXT Championship, which is kind of a disappointment in my opinion, because I know it's 25 and they got to make it as big as they can. I was hoping they could have maybe built somebody else up to give us a stopgap for Johnny Gargano before we get to NXT TakeOver Toronto 2 on SummerSlam weekend, which I kind of still find it funny how SummerSlam's going to be up in Canada during SummerSlam weekend. You know, the biggest party of the summer. You think beaches, you think sunshine and rainbows and everything. You don't think cold weather in Canada. I'm just saying. But anyway, I figured that would be the bigger event. But since it's not in Brooklyn this year, I guess it's not as big. I guess TakeOver is not as big this year on SummerSlam weekend as it usually is. So they're going with Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano. And when we get to that in about 2-3 weeks, I will have a prediction on what's going to happen there. So that was the 2 matches. Io Shirai will also take on Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. Another match that I was thinking was going to be for the NXT Women's Championship at TakeOver Toronto 2. So this is the 25th edition of NXT TakeOver, and that Triple H wants to make it the best they can. I don't know how you're going to top what you did at NXT TakeOver New York. That was, I'm not going to say the best TakeOver. That's still TakeOver New Orleans in my book. Everyone has their own opinion. I'm just saying that TakeOver, but for the year and since TakeOver New Orleans, this is the best. That was the best TakeOver we've had since. Will they be able to top it? Anything is possible in NXT, unlike the WWE. But having these 2 matches are definitely going to be great for this. Who knows what's going on with the Velveteen Dream? Because up until now, it was the Velveteen Dream starting a feud with Dominik Dijakovic. Unfortunately, Dominik Dijakovic, and they did mention it during Keith Lee's match entrance, that Dominik Dijakovic tore his meniscus and he's going to be out for a good while. So that feud has been put on hold, and any chance of seeing Dominik Dijakovic versus Velveteen Dream is also out of the way. So we have 2 weeks left, 2 NXTs left to figure out who's going to be taking on Velveteen Dream for the NXT North American Championship at TakeOver 25. So this show started off with the Tag Team Champions. But before that, Marvin Allen and Nigel McGuinness announced Percy Watson would be leaving the commentary table to pursue other opportunities. WWE Hall of Famer Beth Phoenix is his replacement. NXT Tag Team Champions, the VikingRaiders, head out to the ring. The duo says the past couple weeks they have been raiding Raw and are not done yet. Since they still have the tag team titles, they asked General Manager William Regal to come out to the ring. Regal comes out and they say, since they know nobody will be able to beat them for the titles, they are going to relinquish them. And the crowd is just like, no, the crowd is not happy for this, not for this whatsoever. Of course, The Viking Raiders share a similarity to Asuka, not as good as Asuka, but similar to Asuka, that they are undefeated in NXT. They had not lost a single match, period. They have come into NXT and from day one have pillaged and destroyed every tag team that they put in front of them. They have not lost a match. So having them go out on a loss and losing the tag team titles would have been, I think, not a good idea. Keeps them looking strong going on to the main roster. So, out comes the Street Profits. Ford on his mic says no one. He reminds the champs they brought the fight to them a few weeks ago. Although they didn't win the match, they know the Raiders know deep down inside that the Street Profits can beat the Viking Raiders. Dawkins says, if that's your real name. Crowd goes, whoa, like, okay. They sent the champs, then without even being, Rowe looks over to William Regal off mic and says, make the match. Hanson goes over there and grabs William Regal's mic and says, make the match. And they leave with the tag team titles after so close to relinquishing them. And William Regal makes it official, and the main event, it will be the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders. Last week, Matt Riddle defeated Adam Cole. Roderick Strong came down near the end to help them at the match and attempted to help Cole, but he ended up losing the match. Things between Cole and Strong outside after the match went crazy as they were yelling at each other. Cole says he's sick of this shit and called him a bitch. Strong takes off the Undisputed Era shirt. He takes off the armband and throws them at him. Cole says you probably don't deserve to wear this. I played that clip for you guys last week. Backstage, Kathy Kelly talks to Cole about he was actually the leader of the group. She for some reason said people were wondering who's the leader of the Undisputed Era. Now, in this shot, I swear I saw, it looked like there was lightning going around everywhere or whatever because you just saw flashes of light. Like maybe they were in a lightning area, which I know they wouldn't actually record in that. Suddenly in the background, something is happening. People are running to some location. Strong then walks up a bit out of breath and says, Cole, you were right. I was thinking about what you said last week, and you were right. We're stronger when we're all on the same page, and that Matt Riddle problem is no more as he hands one of Riddle's flip-flops over to Adam Cole. And Cole he says, what's next? Cole takes off the armband, gives it to Roderick Strong, and he puts the arm back on. Adam Cole is just smiling at this entire thing, and Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish are just like, what did you do? And they all just walk off. So everything's patched up with them right now. Looks like we might see Roderick Strong versus Matt Riddle at NXT TakeOver 25. That has not been confirmed, but that looks like where we will be heading for that. Keith Lee versus Cesar Sabinoni. Oh, Keith Lee's got a new theme. He's rapping his new theme music. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm just not. Like, the Usos rap their own theme. John Cena used to rap his own theme back in the day. And now you can add Keith Lee to rapping his own theme. Can somebody just explain to me what was wrong with Keith Lee's old music? I liked what he had before. This, I'm going to have to get used to. But for now, I'm not a fan of the Bask in Your Glory new theme that he has. This was a short and sweet match. Lee leaps over Benoni and drops him with a shoulder block, double chops to the chest. Benoni trips up Lee, sending him to the middle rope, leaping knee strike. Benoni chokes Lee over the second rope. He continues the offense with a shoulder block, tries for an Irish whip on Lee, but no luck. Lee with a couple of punches, fall in the corner, pounce, spirit power bomb for the 1, 2, 3. And when he picked up Benoni and just brought him down so fierce, I'm like, oh shit, that had to fucking hurt. And pins him 1, 2, 3. Keith Lee can win, is back on his winning ways. Last week we saw Shayna Baszler, Jessica Duke, and Marina Shafir training at the Performance Center, and Io Shirai from halfway across the Performance Center. If you go back and look at the footage, which they did show again, she just came barreling in to attack Baszler. Others jumped in to break it up, and that was that. Backstage, Kathy Kelly does announce what I did mention, that Shayna Baszler will defend the women's title against Io Shirai at the next TakeOver. As the Forgotten Sons are heading into Regal's office, she asks, why are you guys going in there? What are you going to talk about? They aren't happy about the Street Profits pretty much getting handed their title opportunity, and it seems that we haven't done enough to let Regal, have Regal not forget who we are. And Jackson Echo says, we're going to make sure Regal remembers that you don't ever forget us. Kushida versus Kona Reeves. Kona Reeves, I guess, went from short shorts to long tight pants again now. He's like changing, I swear, every time, this is like his gimmick, every time Kona Reeves comes out to wrestle a match, he's always wearing something different. Whether it's a hoodie, long coat, chains, short tights, like short pants, shorts, long pants. There's always something different about Kona Reeves every time he comes out. Does he do anything different? Is he any better in the ring? Hell no. But that's neither here nor there. Kona Reeves is absolutely just Reeves was able to instantly drop Kushida, which, by the way, Kushida is still over as hell in the NXT universe. I'm so glad that this guy came over to NXT and got just a huge response. This is honestly like my 4th or 5th match I've ever seen of Kushida. The only other ones I've seen was in the World Cup of Wrestling that he did with WCPW like 2 years ago. His match, I really recommend anybody who wants to see Kushida in some great matches. Him versus Kenny Williams, because both of them back in the Independents were Back to the Future marks. They would sit there and they both did a Back to the Future type gimmick. And I'm glad he got to keep his Back to the Future gimmick because they really didn't do that with Kenny Williams the last time I saw him. And him versus Zack Sabre Jr. Kushida versus Zack Sabre Jr. World Cup of Wrestling, WCPW's World Cup of Wrestling. If you can find that match, that was a damn good technical wrestling match. It was awesome. So if you want to check out some good matches for Kushida, I highly recommend Kenny Williams versus Kushida from the World Cup of Wrestling and Kushida versus Zack Sabre Jr. Drew Gulak, for whatever reason, while Kushida's arm dragging the hell out of Kona Reeves, just shows up and is standing on the stage, just sitting there looking so unimpressed. He gets Kushida with the Hurricane Rana. Reeves power slams Kushida in the bottom turnbuckle. Knee to the head, snap, suplex, cover 2. Kushida FH Reeves hits a springboard trap, multiple kicks, hamstring, back elbow, which I didn't mention that is based. He got that from his mentor, or like his hero, Tajiri, which that's a nice little throw in there. Hip toss into the basement drop, hit cover 2, hoverboard lock, Reeves powers out of it, hits some back elbows. Kushida with a handspring kick and sends Reeves onto the floor. Kushida with a somersault plancha out to the floor, back in the ring. Kushida kick lands. Kushida is able to transition this into the hoverboard lock, and Reeves taps out. So Kushida 2-0 in his show. Kushida wins. And Gulak is just standing up there on the stage. They showed him a couple times during the match, and he just looks unimpressed. Like, everything that Kushida does is like, that's not impressive at all. Where are they going with Gulak and Kushida? I can see it going into a match, hopefully at a takeover, maybe in Toronto, who knows. But this is going to be interesting to see where this goes. I guess they did mention, too, on commentary tonight that Gulak has been taking shots at Kushida on social media. Of course, I don't follow Gulak or Kushida, so I don't know where that tension is from. It's going to be interesting to see what they actually do. Backstage, Bianca Belair is dragging Kathy Kelly by her arm to Regal's office to ask her about her next title opportunity. As she gets to this office, Mia Yim walks out, and Belair can't believe it. She believes that Mia Yim was in there slithering in, trying to get her next title, take the title opportunity that Bianca Belair feels that she still is owed against Shayna Baszler. So she already took care of Mia Yim. Yim says she's asking for another match against Belair because Belair didn't take care of her. She just took a shortcut. Yim heads off as Belair calls Kelly to follow her. She walks into Regal's office and shuts the door in Kelly's face. So I don't know what the fuck that's about. So that is going to be interesting. They still have, Bianca Belair is starting to get on the more paranoid, the paranoid side, or whatever it's called, where she thinks that she's still undefeated when we all know she is not. Backstage, Matt Riddle was being tended to. He talks to Johnny Gargano, and NXT camera, the person who's off to the side, asks Gargano if Riddle is okay. He says he's angry, but okay. Then Gargano announces he's going to take the fight to the Undisputed Era when he takes on Adam Cole for the NXT Championship one more time at NXT TakeOver 25. Of course, these tapings were done before NXT TakeOver 25 actually had its name. So any interview or anything that's going to be happening on the show is only going to see NXT Takeover. They don't even actually have a name for it. Now, if you hear Takeover 25 from the commentators, that was in post-edit. So if you're wondering why aren't they saying Takeover? Why aren't they saying Takeover 25? Because these were taped before Takeover 25's name was added. Vanessa Bourne versus one of my favorites from the Mae Young Classic, Jessie Ellenborn, or just Jessie. I'm just glad to see her back on TV. I can't wait to see what they do with her. Jessie Ellenborn was one of those ones that she just had that like innocent spunk to her, or whatever you want to call it, in the Mae Young Classic. Yes, she lost in the first round, and I was like, I can't wait to see what they do with her eventually. Honestly, I'm not surprised they dropped the last name, Ellenball, I think is what it was, because if she went through all of NXT and got it to the main roster with that full name, Jessie Ellenball, they would have dropped the last name anyway, so Triple H took the fun out of this one for Vince McMahon by himself. This one was short and sweet. Jessie is not she's on the side of the helping other ones get over right now. She will eventually be on the other side of that, but for now, she is the one she is the jobber to the people they're trying to get over. She does put up a good fight against Vanessa Bourne. They're calling her the Vision. I think this is the first time I actually heard. When I heard it, I was like, oh, I thought this is going to be that's their tag team name, but I don't know what the hell their tag team is. Her and Aaliyah, but the Vision, Vanessa Bourne. No rolling crucifix pin. Jessie lands a spinning heel kick, which was nice. Which was a nice spinning heel kick. Rocked Vanessa Bourne. Looks her flash in the corner. Nobody home. Bourne with a headbutt. Clinch Jessie with this. She runs over, grabs her like I don't know how to explain this move that she did. Jessie hunched over, like she got kicked in the gut. Goes in Vanessa Bourne runs past, hooks her arm over her head, and just twists her and lands her on the mat. And I'm like, holy shit, what kind of fucking move was that? And that ended Jessie's run for her first match, I think. I think this is Jessie's first match on NXT in a good while. Full of 1, 2, 3, and that was that. So, great to see Jessie be put on TV. I hope that, she's going to be the jobber to the stars for the women right now, and by this time next year, she'll be the one getting wins on the NXT TV. So just great to see what she can do. There are so many good women in the women's division for NXT that NXT really doesn't know what to do with most of them or how to use most of them. Candice LeRae, in my opinion, should have been used a lot more than she has been. But she, up until recently, she's only had one match or two since, I believe, Takeover Aftermath show for War Games. I think she's had 2 matches since then. And it's just, they just can't. They have just so much. It's just wow. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the women's division. I honestly would like to see, and I've said this before, I would love to see a women's title match for the NXT brand, and then a non-women's title match. Say you have Io Shirai versus Shayna Baszler, and then after that, on the same card, you could have a Bianca Belair versus a Candice LeRae number 1 contenders match, or whatever you want to do for them for the women's. It's you have 3 men's title matches and 1 women's match. I think they can at least, because I know it feels like we're going to have Roderick Strong versus Matt Riddle. I would like to see 2 women's matches on NXT TakeOver Toronto. Why do the women only get the women's title match? I think they should also get a non-women's title match. Give us a little bit of build for somebody else. It always seems like they get thrown to the aftermath show, which is take the course beforehand. That's just my opinion. I feel that the women should be getting 2 matches while the men have their 3 title matches. And there was a little bit more plausible back before the North American Championship, but since that's been added in, I've only seen maybe 1 match for the women every time. I think it's time to give them more than 1. The VikingRaiders versus the Street Profits for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Did you think this match was going to end clean? No. The VikingRaiders were not going to lose, and the VikingRaiders were not going to win. This match ended in a no contest. It was a hot start compared to, unlike last time when we saw them as the War Raiders, and the Street Profits took it to the War Raiders immediately. It was the other time, this time, as the Viking Raiders go right to work on the Street Profits. They go for a proper power slam on 4, but Dawkins spears low as 4 goes for the roll-up. Dawkins and Hanson with some dueling cartwheels, which I thought was fucking hilarious. You had Hanson do a cartwheel, and then Dawkins do a cartwheel, and then they both did one, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. Boy tagged in, hits a big frog splash cover, only two. Hate that fucking name. Able to tag in, Row with a punch in the face. Pin 2. The Forgotten Sons, you could just tell before you even seen them come out, they come down the ramp. As soon as anybody in the crowd saw the Forgotten Sons coming out, they didn't even run to the ring. They just took their sweet ass time getting to the ring. But as soon as they popped their head out of the stage on the way to the ring, you could just hear the entire crowd start booing because the Forgotten Sons come out. They start beating up the Viking Raiders. Everyone starts brawling. The match is a no contest. Out comes Danny Burch and Only Lorcan. Get involved. The Viking Raiders are able to clear the ring. They hit a cannonball senton on the apron to the floor. Ford goes up top for the. This was so fucking hilarious because Hanson does his cannonball to the outside. Ford goes up to do a frog splash on everybody who's down below. Rowe comes over, just grabs him, and the scream, and you just heard that, like, a Windhelm scream that you hear, like, in video games and stuff. The scream that came out of Montez Ford's mouth, I swear he probably shit himself. It was that fucking, it was like, he was just like, ah! Like, holy shit, like, what the fuck? The crowd was busting up laughing. You could just tell. They thought it was hilarious. Dawkins lifts him up and hits Rowe up on his shoulders. Ford's with a blockbuster. Dawkins acts like a referee and counts to the 3. They have a moral victory now. They pin the Viking Raiders. Yeah, sure, whatever. Back in the ring, Burch and Lorcan get destroyed by the Raiders. Mara says this is the Viking experience they weren't going to enjoy. That way, using that Viking experience in that way is fine because it goes with them being the Viking Raiders. And they're beating the hell, but it's like, can we please drop the Viking experience at all? Can we please just get rid of that? I don't want to hear the words. I don't want to hear the combination of the words, the Viking experience, ever again. That fucking meme is still going on because every time something changes, oh, I'm surprised Saudi Arabia's show wasn't called the Saudi experience or the Sands experience or something. It's like, can we please stop? The Kabuki Warrior experience or the Kabuki experience. Oh, it's like, can we please let it go? Pop-up power slam with Thor's hammer to Wesley Blake. The champs hold the titles up one more time, lay them on the mat, and take a bow as the show closes, thus ending the Vikings Raiders time in NXT. So, biggest question coming out this week is what happens to the tag team titles at NXT? Well, this is simple. The NXT Tag Team Championships are now vacated. The Viking Raiders came to NXT tonight to end the title reign by relinquishing them. They put the titles on the line one last time, and then the Viking Raiders, there was no conclusion. They put the titles on the mat, and they bowed. The end of the Viking Raiders in NXT. It's going to be sad to see them go, but that is what it is. They are on Monday Night Raw now. Probably going to be the tag team champions before SummerSlam. Who knows? But that is what it is. What's going to happen at TakeOver 25 for the tag team titles? We had the Free Profits, the Forgotten Sons, and the Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, which I so wish they got a goddamn tag team name. But those 3 tag teams came out wanting to be, those 3 tag teams brawled with the Raiders. I could see them being put into a triple threat match. There was no Undisputed Era around. I'm really surprised because they weren't wanting to get their tag team titles back since they lost them at TakeOver Phoenix. So I would not be surprised if they get added in and we make it a fatal 4-way. Who knows? We still have 2 weeks left of build the takeover. This is the weirdest. This is going to be a weird build the takeover just because it was really supposed to be 4 weeks of build. This week, next week, the week after that, and then the week after that. But thanks to WWE, well, not thanks to WWE, thanks to the Saudi government making WWE move the Saudi Arabian show to the 7th of June. They had to go to Bridgeport, Connecticut. Instead of having NXT TakeOver 25 being in San Jose, it's going to be in Connecticut. So we will have to wait and see what happens next week. Very excited to see what happens in NXT TakeOver 25. We are 2.5 short weeks away. But until then, hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France. Find me at The France Club, Find me on twitch.tv/TheFrance08. And I'll see you guys Friday for a Money in the Bank preview and predictions. Who's going up to win the Money in the Bank ladder matches? Who do you think? Who do I predict to win the respective championship matches? And so much more. Until then, my name is France, and I'll see you guys later.